Ben Troupe, former Florida Gator, former Tennessee Titan, former second-round pick of the Tennessee Titans. He joins me right now. Ben, what's going on, brother? Hey, let me give you, round of applause for Ben. There you go. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
See, the last time, let me give people a little bit of the backstory. What happened was you didn't talk to me the last time you did a show of mine, the Sports Kings. I was hospitalized at the time, had to have some work done, help us not doing the very best. So basically, it was kind of like a catfish situation where I reached out to you on Twitter and then handed you off to my partner, Rob Calloway, and then you and Rob did the interview. You know what I mean? So you was talking to me, but then you ended up doing the interview with Rob. So this is my first time talking to you, man, and it is definitely my pleasure and appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join me. Let me make sure I give you all of Ben's information here. You guys make sure you follow him just like I do at Ben Troupe, Troupe 84. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Now, let's see where I want to start. Let's start with Sunday, man. Let's start with the Super Bowl. I'm sure you saw the Super Bowl and how it played out. First of all, did you see the Super Bowl playing out that way?
I didn't. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that while I did think it would be a good game and the defensive struggle, I didn't. I underestimated Wade Phillips and his ability to really have a game plan and really let Von Miller know that defensive line really get at Cam. I thought it would be a good game, but the way that defense dominated, man, I didn't see it, unfolding like that.
Now, post game, there were some things that came out of the post game with Cam Newton, and the way he either you can say did or didn't conduct his post game interview. Something that I said to one of my buddies the other day. I had him on the show on Monday. He works in Raleigh, in North Carolina, and he's a white guy. And my premise to the show on Monday was that I don't think a lot of media, which is predominantly white, understands the cultural pressure that's on a guy like Cam. Like, Cam is the kid who came out of the neighborhood that made it. Like all the D-boys, all the rappers still respect him and know him, but they also know that he's not a part of what they're a part of. But he's still, he's different than what Russell Wilson is. You know what I mean? So he's harder for people to take. And when I see him being that angry about the loss, I don't see it as a guy, like a lot of people want to say he's immature. A lot of people want to say he's not a true leader. I see it as a guy who really wanted to win. And really wanted to win, not just for himself, not just for his teammates, not just for his city, but for a lot of the people who were kind of on that Cam Newton background, a lot of black people that were on that Cam Newton bandwagon. How did you interpret what you saw in that post-game press conference?
I mean, I took it a similar way as well. I understood what he meant, but the unfortunate part about perception is everything when it comes to a position like the NFL. And then when you're the NFL MVP, of the league, and you Cam Newton, you're as polarizing of a figure as Cam Newton is. I understand why he said it the way he said it, and like he even said it today. He said, "I'm not here to be what you guys want me to be. I'm my own person. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect." But I also feel as though that Cam Newton, he gets scrutinized by the media a little differently because he has had to make a lot of strides from his rookie year to second, third, fourth, and ninth, fifth as maturing in the media. And to me, I just think he blew a great opportunity to really show how much maturity he has, grown. He has attained over the years. But, hey, man, he lost the Super Bowl. And I'm a sore loser just like him. I don't want to talk when I lose,
right.
But unfortunately,
right.
That comes with the job. Unfortunately, that comes with the job. And he knew that they might be all in his face because unfortunately, you got those media people who sit back and say, "I got you now." Mm-hmm. Everybody was thinking that because you was winning that you had changed. Boom, we're gonna show you that you haven't changed as much. But I think he has grown a lot, and I respect the fact that Cam Newton doesn't back off of his statements. Most guys, they'll say something, and when people criticize him, they try to back off, but he don't back off from it. He said, "Listen, I am who I am," and you got to respect that.
My man, same here. That was probably the most impressive part of it to me. The fact that a day later, once the cooling off period happened, he didn't come back and was like, "You know what? I apologize for my actions." He was like, "Nope, screw y'all. This is what I do. Watch what happens next year. I'm gonna be better." Like, I can't do anything, me personally, but respect that. Now, let's make a comparison, compare and contrast, something that you can do better than most. You played a couple of years with the great Steve Air McNair, right? Another guy, big guy, strong guy, fast guy, big arm. You know, a little bit later on in his career, though, than Cam is now. But a lot of people made reference to the loss in the Super Bowl. Now, I don't think you were there for the loss in the Super Bowl.
No, 99. I was 99, and I was still in high school.
Right. So, not necessarily referencing that, but people were asking questions like, well, how would this guy have handled it? You knew him. Give us some insight on the man that Steve McNair was, and give us any comparisons or contrast that you can make between being up and close and personal with Steve McNair and seeing Cam Newton from the outside looking in.
I believe they're very, very similar from a standpoint of being an Iron Man. I mean, Cam Newton was in a car wreck and then he hurt his back, a couple of discs, herniated discs, and he played on Sunday. I played with Steve McNair to where he had a broken sternum, and anybody know about your sternum? If your sternum is broken, you can barely breathe.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And Matt played on Sunday. So when you talk about the Iron Man of the NFL and being able to do it all from the running standpoint to the big arm to just having that confidence to go out there and know that your team feeds off of you, I think they're very similar. Now, what they differ at is one thing you respect about Steve McNair, he understands his position, not just being an African-American quarterback, not just being the face of the team, but he understands, like you say, it's big. The black community looks at him to be a representation. I mean, the man from Mississippi went to Alcorn State, and he was the second pick in the draft. Cam Newton, plays 1 year in Auburn, wins the Heisman, went first pick in the draft. And and when it comes to Steve, he's going to answer every question. He's not going to let the personal side of it get to him because he understands, man, this is my job. Steve McNair understands that he chose football. Football didn't choose him. And he never ever started feeling as though, listen, because this man was co-MVP of the league when Peyton Manning was in his prime. He still, I mean, to me, I don't think he should have had to share it with Peyton Manning. If it's even close between him and Mac, I think it should have went to Steve McNair. But it's just one of those things to where they're very similar in impact, but they differ in the understanding of their impact. Like Cam Newton understands what he brings to the table, but it's still that little piece of him that don't get the fact that you don't have to confine to what people want you to be, but you have to stand up there and take it. It's like, I know you don't want to take it, but that's what the position calls for.
I got you. He is Ben Troupe. See, I keep telling people, I told the people in the first half hour that I'm going to mess around and call you Terrell Troupe. You know who Terrell Troupe is?
No, who's Terrell Troupe?
Terrell Troupe played for the Buffalo Bills, and he's a buddy of mine. I have him on the show periodically, and I look at your last name and his, and I told these people I'm gonna call this dude Terrell before it's all. I haven't done it yet.
I was making sense to it, no problem, man.
I've caught myself. Yeah, I'm catching myself. I'm not gonna try to do it. Well, I'm gonna try not to do it. Is what I'm saying. But anyway, he's Ben Troupe of the Florida Gators. He was an All-American down there with Steve Spurrier and Ron Zook. Second round pick. I was going to say second overall. Second round pick for the Tennessee Titans in 2004. Make sure you guys are following him at Ben Troupe. That's TROUPE 84 on Twitter and Instagram. Speaking of your college days, speaking of Coach Steve Spurrier, he decided to hang it up this year in a very, very, to me, I'm just going to give you my perception on it, and I'm going to get your thoughts as well. I feel like he quit on that team in the middle of the season. I feel like he could have waited until the end of the season, but because it wasn't going well, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take my ball and go home." He's your former coach. What were your thoughts when you heard that he was leaving the team mid-season, the South Carolina Gamecocks?
Classic Steve Spurrier. I mean, one thing about Coach Spurrier is this. Listen, this man don't play the radio. What you see is what you get with him. He's about as honest and blunt as it gets. I mean, he even said it. He said, "Listen, I'm a coach at South Carolina for as long as we good and we win games. If we start losing games consistently, I'm out." And you can respect that because you got to think. Nobody even knows it. South Carolina has been a respectable team, but he brought them to the upper echelon. These dudes was 11-2, 3 straight years. True enough, they had Davion Clowney and Shaw was playing out of his mind,
Marcus Lattimore.
I respect the fact that Marcus Lattimore as well. He was definitely a big, and I hate what happened to him. But it's like what happened with Coach Spurrier. he said, I'm not retiring. I'm just resigning from here. I mean, you may see me again, but not saying he's earned his stripes to do that. But if anybody should be able to do that, it should be Spurrier, for the simple fact that you say, listen, man, before this thing really hit the fan and before it really get ugly, I'm going to just get on out of here. I know it ain't the best way for me leaving, but I'm going to go ahead and go and move out of the way for the next coaching candidate to come in, which they replaced him with Will Muschamp. I don't know how in the world that happened. But, it's just one of those things to where SC, and that's a totally different issue right there with the Will Muschamp thing. It's like most coaches, especially African-American coaches, they don't get to be a bad coach and get another job.
Right. It's like, what has he done?
He stuck it up in Florida. He stuck it up at all. His first year, he get a head coach job. Yeah. How in the world does that happen? But, I mean, getting back to Spurrier, man, hey, listen, he did it his way, and that's what I get from him, man. He's a guy that he don't sugarcoat stuff. You know what you're getting with him. And I think the president probably knew it was coming before it happened. Mm-hmm. But Spurrier was like, look, man, I think he needed to mess with the media, too, because he has a way of, like, controlling the media, controlling the narrative like that.
Now, we're at a stage in the year where it's probably my favorite part of the year. Like, the season's over with, but the NFL never stops. The NFL is a beast that never stops breathing. And so now it's evaluation time. It's time for the new crop, the fresh talent to make their names known. Heading into in about 2 weeks now, well, we just had the All-Star game, the Senior Bowl, the Shrine game, and I think there's a couple of other small ones. And now the kids are getting ready for the draft. Now, you're a guy who went through that process. Give me a little bit of insight from the time the season is over with and preparing to perform at the Combine. Now, you didn't perform at the Combine, correct?
No, I didn't do anything at the Combine, no.
Okay, so give me all the way up until that decision not to, like, how does that decision get made not to perform at the Combine? From the time you end your season and you know, you're a big-time dude. A lot of people had you with a first-round grade. You end up going in the second round, but that's still, pretty high in the draft. So your mentality and the things that you had to go through from the end of your senior season until the evaluation process was done and it's time to get drafted.
We had just finished up the Outback Bowl in Tampa, and my strength coach was handing out the guys who got selected to go to the Combine. And I was one of the guys. So once you get selected to go to the Combine, and even if you don't get selected, you got to get an agent. And the great thing about the University of Florida is their compliance department is the greatest because they know that you don't know anything about picking an agent. They know you know nothing about asking the questions you need to ask, the things that, and the thing about these agents, they got to hit all these check points. It can't be no negative. And I ended up picking Joe Spiegel. He was a great agent. I mean, he was honest about it. And when I went to the Combine, he told me, he was like, Ben, listen, he said, you can work out, but I would, if I were you, I wouldn't work out. He said, because most guys, they need the Combine to, introduce themselves to these NFL teams, whereas you don't have to do that. And he said, I guarantee you this, if you don't work out, Kellen Winslow won't work out. And he didn't. He said, but if you work out, he's going to work out because he looks at you as his competition as far as like, and obviously, and Ben Watson, who's still in the NFL right now, came out of the University of Georgia. This guy was a beast at the Combine. This guy was ridiculous. But I chose not to work out because I didn't feel as though I had anything to prove. And when the NFL coaches asked me why I didn't work out, I said, because I feel more comfortable at my pro day. I mean, I'm used to that. Quarterbacks, the field, and different things. But it did. I don't even think it hurt my draft status because I was going to go to the Tennessee Titans in the first round, but they drafted down in the second. They traded down to the second because they got another pick. So my pick actually helped them get another pick. So I didn't look at it as, me not. Obviously, I wanted to go first round, but I mean, I was still the first pick of the team. But I mean, if I could do it all over, I would do it the exact same, and I mean, I didn't regret anything. But the Combine is a meat market. It's a show, man. It's the crazy thing about the Combine is you have to stand on the stage with some boxer briefs on, and they get your height, your weight, your hand size, but you literally on stage with a light shining on you, and out in the crowds, you got every head coach, every general manager, and they looking at you. Somebody may say, tell him to turn to the side. You got to turn. They'll say,
Hey.
somebody may say, tell him to bend down to touch his toes, and whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, can I say something to you real quick? Can I say something to
Yeah.
you? I had a homeboy back in the day who went to the combine, got invited to the combine. He compared, he left asking himself the question, I wonder if this is the type of stuff that they made slaves do when they went to the market.
I'm telling you.
Is that comparable?
Yeah, well, you got to think, Mike. Think about this. Think about walking in a room that's dark, and it's you and every other 20 other tight ends, and somebody say, hey, all you guys strip down. Strip down to what? Strip down to your tights.
That's
no
awesome.
socks, no nothing, and you go on a stage. And you can see eyes and you can see images, but you can't see them. You just hear voices.
Man.
And you got to do whatever they ask. And you really standing there like, are these people serious? And they dead serious. It's like picking out a car, man. They want to make sure you are who you are. They want to make sure you look how you look. They want to see how you look with no uniform on, which to me is crazy. But that's how it is.
Now, moving from pre-career to post-career, because now what we're seeing now, I feel like, is the start of something. You see, I think you were seeing the start of guys who are making plenty of money, guys who are a lot more educated as far as what the sport is doing, not only to their bodies but to their brains. And we're seeing guys like John Beeson, who had a injury history, but guys like Calvin Johnson, guys like Marshawn Lynch saying, you know what, I got my loot. I'm going to go ahead and go home. When you decided to hang it up, the first question I want to ask you is, did you make a formal decision to do that, or was it just the phone stopped ringing? Because I know there's always these two camps, either guys who want to keep playing. I remember talking to Terrence Mathis. He was like, I've been in the league so long, it's not fiscally possible for a team to pay me the money that my tenure requires me to get paid. So I'm unable to keep playing. For you, which one was it? Did you say I'm gonna walk away, or was it just the phone stopped ringing?
Actually, I got to walk away on my own terms. I mean, when I came to the NFL, I only wanted to do three things. I wanted to be the first guy drafted from my college, which I was. I wanted to be the first guy drafted to the team I went to, which I was. I wanted to be to walk away on my own terms. I remember back in 2009, I was working out for the Arizona Cardinals. They had Ken Wisenhunt. And the offensive coordinator was down there, the running games coach. They had the general manager, and these guys wanted to sign me. I was like, you guys want to sign me? I'm like, yeah, I'm making them wait and different things. And it's not like I'm Brett Favre or anything. Like, they were sitting back waiting on me. But because I knew I could still perform at a high level for an NFL franchise that was willing to sign me, I walked away. Because my health wasn't deteriorating or anything like that. But, I had hit the injuries real hard towards the end of my career, even though it was a short one. I'm a country boy from Swainsboro, Georgia. I got an opportunity to play in the National Football League. I was never one of those guys that cared about the accolades. I'm looking around, and this is way before this CTE stuff. This is way before all this information coming out. I didn't want to be that guy. And I always say this. The reason why they only show you guys Sunday, because if you saw what guys had to go through from Monday to Saturday, just to make it to the game, and this is an every week process. I say, man, as long as it's football players, there's always going to be massage therapists making money.
No doubt.
There's always going to be acupuncture guys making money, and I didn't want that for me. But at the same time, I just appreciate the fact that I was never shown the door. Nobody ever said, Ben, you losing a step. I was told, hey man, are you going to sign? You going to turn down? So I was able to walk away. The phone was actually ringing, and it was still ringing, but. And I had done what I was there to do, and I respect what Marshawn Lynch and Calvin Johnson doing, because it's funny, when everybody's telling you why leave now, that's when you've done something, made a tremendous impact on the league.
He's been Troupe once again, finishing up here. Florida Gators tight end from 2000 to 03, All-American, second-round draft pick in 04 by the Tennessee Titans. Make sure you guys are following him at Ben, Troupe 84 on Twitter and Instagram. I'm glad you mentioned the CTE and the head injury stuff, because that's something that I've been very, very interested in for a while now. I was talking to one of my former teammates over the Christmas holiday, man, and we were kind of just talking about kind of the things that we did with our heads playing football, you know what I mean, and to now have some insight on how those things may affect us down the road. And like now we can sit around and laugh at it, like I know I had about 3 concussions a game and that kind of craziness. But first of all, did you see the concussion movie?
I did. I think Will Smith did an incredible job. I like the fact that in the movie you can see how the NFL. I like how they show how the NFL was going to try to push him off, push him away. Like, hey, this guy's crazy, but he stuck with it because he understood that his purpose was a lot bigger. And when you see what's happening now with these guys, it's scary, man. I mean, I don't feel as though I'm going to ever suffer from those things, but man. The first thing that hit is your helmet. I mean, the first thing that make contact is your helmet.
Yeah.
Whether it's special teams, offense, defense. So when you think about how much head trauma you've had from, and I have to clarify something. People say that football is a contact sport. No, football is a collision sport.
Exactly.
You can touch somebody, that's contact. So, and when you think about how many collisions you've had, or if you think about the fact that your coach will look at you and say, hey, can you go? Can you hear me? Yeah. How many singles? I got 3. He good. Send it back in there.
Yeah.
So it's a scary thought because when I think about what happened to Junior Seau and Ken Stabler, they're gonna see if he has CTE. It's a scary thought because a lot of guys having the same symptoms, man, and they can't diagnose you with it until you dead and gone, which I think is crazy.
And you know what's funny? I was telling actually Terrell Troupe this the other day that the scariest part of the whole thing. To me, of all the people you mentioned, Junior Seau and guys like Dave Duerson and guys who went out in a very horrific way. But I think the scarier thing is Frank Gifford, a guy who was living a regular life. You know what I mean? He was living a regular life in public. His family members saw these changes in him, and then when he passed away, they cut his head open and found out that the calcium deposits, the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, was there with him. So. It's one of those things where even for people who are seemingly to other people walking around and in a regular light could still be privately suffering. To me, that's the scary part. I heard some people from the local NFLPA talk about it as though, and no, they not talk about it as though they actually use the words, it's a horror film. It was a horror film for them. And I saw the movie, and I'm a guy who watches movies, and I look for. I'm not a person that can judge acting and all those things, but I think one of the most impactful scenes in the movie was when he put that thing in that bottle and just start shaking it in that liquid, and it was like, this is what happens to your brain. It's just sitting in liquid and it's banging up against the walls of your helmet. To me, anybody, I don't care what you understand, if you know science and all that, any dummy, including me, can understand that. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he did a great job. To me, what I was two things I respect. I respect the fact that the story had to be told, and I respect the fact that Will Smith was the one they did, because people are gonna take notice to Will Smith's movie. Mm-hmm. If you watch Wild Wild West, you're gonna watch Concussion. Nothing against Will Smith, but and what I appreciate about the movie is these are true events that are taking place. And the fact of the matter is, if you've ever played football, whether it be Pop Warner, high school, middle school, you're subject to this. Mm-hmm. It's not an NFL thing. It takes the NFL to shed light on it. Because if it's in high school, they can push it on the rug. If it's middle school, they can push it. But the NFL, it's undeniable. Yeah. And I think with the NFL, this is what you got to know about the NFL. The NFL picks and chooses what they decide to be relevant or not. Yeah. Because if you notice, when it came to the concussion, when they won the big concussion settlement, they gave money to the players. And the reason why they gave money, because they don't want to show what they know. Right. They'd rather just throw money at them. Well, just give them $800 million. Because if they have to show what they know, you're going to be like, oh, my God. You're going to be like, what in the world? Because I believe the NFL know a lot more than they showing, but they'll give us a movie like Concussion to kind of make people think that, they really care. But in the grand scheme of things, man, they don't care. They ain't in the business of caring. They're in the business of making money.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, it's window dressing. All this like defenseless receiver stuff and this helmet technology. There is no technology that can prevent a concussion. I always tell people, don't look at the guys running around. Look at those guys inside. Watch how many times that guard in that 3 technique's head smashes together throughout the game, 40 or 50 times. That's the real deal. As we wrap up here with Terrell, dang it, I did it. Golly. God dang it.
Y'all motivated.
2 minutes to go. God dang it. As we wrap up here with Ben Troupe, former second-round pick of the Tennessee Titans. The last question I'm going to ask you before I let you go is, I don't know if you have any kids. If you do, or if you plan on having any, would Ben Troupe Jr. or Little Ben play football?
Yeah, I would let him. I have a son. Yeah, I would let him play football. And the reason why is this: the reason why I would let my son play football is, I'm a part of USA Football and Heads Up Football. I think there's a way. I would make sure that my son is being taught by people who understand that, really teaching them how to play the game. And because I'm not going to do what Kurt Warner did. I'm not going. The NFL, I feel just like Herm Edwards. The NFL has provided me with some unique opportunities, and if I develop something along the lines because of it, I can accept that. That's what I signed up for. But I want that for my child, no. But I wouldn't keep my child from experiencing what I've learned through football because it's dangerous. Because like I say, baseball is dangerous, basketball is dangerous, but football is the most dangerous. And I wouldn't limit him if that's what he wanted to do, but I would make sure that whoever is coaching him, especially in the smaller levels, were Heads Up Football certified. But I wouldn't stop him though. I don't want my child to get hurt, but hey man, I've learned a lot through football. It's helped me become the person I am. And hey man, if my son want to get out there and do it, I'll let him do it.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Ben Troupe. Don't forget, once again, to follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Ben, Troupe 84 on Twitter and Instagram. He is a former tight end for the Florida Gators and the second-round pick for the Tennessee Titans in 2004. Ben, thank you so much for your time. We're going to have to do this pretty soon. Here again, my man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. We're going to definitely have to do it real soon, man. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a good one.